Hello again and welcome to the Warhammer 40K Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I want to say a huge thank you to James Loader for providing some pictures of his Death Corps 101st Infantry Regiment. These guys look absolutely fantastic, James. Thank you so much for sending in these pictures. I love a good Death Corps of Krieg Army. I love the classic paint scheme you've gone for here. You've really done the regiment proud there. They look absolutely fantastic. And I hope that you purged all the foul Xenos orcs that you are facing in this battle. If anyone else has any cool pictures that they want to send in to me, please post them on my Facebook page. There will be a link in the description down below. And if they're cool, then I will use them in my videos because I love showing off cool pictures. And if you've got a really good paint scheme going on, post as well because I love to show off the hard work that you guys do. It's just a little bit of community engagement. I really like showing off well painted models. It's really like highlighting all the effort and love that you guys put into your armies. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to be starting a new series. I've been thinking about this series for a while. You see, I've obviously been recently very excited about the Genestealer Cult, but I can totally understand why my sort of flurry of Genestealer Cult videos, which I've toned down a little bit now, I can totally understand why that has annoyed or annoyed some veteran viewers, or hasn't really been of interest to many of you, because even though I've aimed my Genestealer Cult videos at, if you wanted to run your guard army as cult, this is the way I would do it, use it as an extra regiment essentially, angle, that's what I've been going for. I appreciate that some of you are loyal to the Emperor to the end, and you want to use guard, and so therefore I thought I would, but I obviously want to talk about Genestealer Cult a bit because I'm excited about the new army. But I thought, the best way to get this to work is let's talk about how, as guard, how I would defend against some of the more common tricks that the Genestealer Cult are able to bring to the field. Because I personally think that Genestealer Cult are going to become potentially meta-breaking. Okay? So we're going to do we're going to do a series of videos, how to curb the cult, or how to kill the cult. Well, I'll come up with the title, but we're going to do some videos on how to purge the cult, essentially, what to be aware of when you're facing them, and how specifically as a guard commander can we beat them. Obviously, these videos will be relevant to almost anyone who wants to have some tricks of the trade on how to beat the Genestealer Cult. But of course, this will be focused on how us as guard commanders, as the front line of defence against the Genestealer Cult, how we can take steps to ensure victory against the foul, insidious Xenos traitors. So I'm going to be doing, like I said, it's going to be a series of videos. I'll be covering the various tricks and various tactics we need to be aware of, various super units, Death Stars that the cult can bring, and some misconceptions that you need to be aware of. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be I'm going to talk about some basic principles of the cult, and so what you need to be aware of. Now, obviously, if you're going to tournament, you can't really list Taylor, and you should never list Taylor because it's just pointless. It just diminishes the skill. There are some things, because I reckon cults are going to become very common at tournaments, you're going to have to factor them into your list building. Similar principle to when you go to a tournament, you're going to be facing knights in some capacity or another. Do you have the tools to deal with a knight? Same thing is, do you have the tools to deal with the cult? Okay. Now, there are essentially two main gimmicks of the cult, two main themes. Okay. Firstly, is there an infantry-based army? Okay. Now, this is very important to understand. The cult has had large point reductions on some of its more vicious melee units, things like metamorphs, things like hybrid, acolyte hybrids, close combat units. Now, whether they're close combat or not, the cult has access to multiple cheap infantry options, and they have access of ways of getting them where they want them to be. So no longer are you just going to be focusing on having like night busting weapons. You're really going to need to bring your anti-horde clearance. Now as guard, that isn't a problem for us. Okay, as guard, our basic las guns will take us a long way. But I think if I was to give some advice on how to deal with cult, it would definitely be on your infantry units. You're going to want to have lots and lots of las guns, grenade launchers and flamers. Now we've already talked about how grenade launchers are becoming relevant again in comparison to plasma. Plasma really is useless against the cult. It really is. It's just overkill. Against pure cult armies, it's just overkill. They don't have anything toughness 8, for example. So most of their vehicles are toughness 6 or less. They've got one toughness 7 unit. They've got one toughness 4 unit. What I'm saying here, guys, is these guys are fragile. They're very numerous, but they're very fragile. They are essentially an army of specialised guardsmen. Think of it that way. Now, so your first rank fire, second rank fire is going to be very useful, but things like heavy bolters are going to be really good as well. My sort of thinking would be, if you're going to a tournament, you're going to be facing knights, you're going to be facing cult, there's a good chance. In general, the horde meta is making a comeback. So, I'd be loading up your infantry squads, and obviously your frontline infantry squads, your sacrificial ones, bare bones, your backline ones. I'm thinking grenade launcher, heavy bolter. I really am. And most tournament players already do this, but you're definitely going to want your mortars. Okay, your trio of 3 heavy weapon squads. That's what you want to do. Your mortars will do serious work against Genestealer Cult. They will do. The fact that especially if you're taking Cadian mortars, the fact that you're getting 10 shots on average per squad, you're re-rolling all hits, and then you're going to be wounding on 3s. You're really going to want your mortars to deal with these guys. Now, Genestealer Cult, those sort of so that they're a very horde-based army, they're very infantry army. Whilst Games Workshop has released things like bikes, and they've released things like the Ridge Runner. Generally speaking, I'd say a competitive Genestealer Cult army is going to be very infantry heavy. Very infantry heavy. So make sure you're bringing the anti-infantry. The second gimmick they have is, obviously if you bring armour, I would consider things like Punisher. A couple of Punishers might do you pretty nicely. And I tell you what, one last thing to say, major weakness of the Genestealer Cult regarding the fact that they're infantry heavy, right? All their infantry has a 5-up save, pretty much. Now, I've been on the receiving end of this. It's not pretty. Genestealer Cult absolutely melt. They absolutely melt in the face of Tempesta Scions. Seriously, guys. A couple of Tempesta Scion squads in Torx Primes. Torx Primes are already doing serious work. And then you've got all the Tempestas with hotshot volley, Tempesta squads with hotshot volley guns, first rank fire, second rank fire. They cut straight through your armour. It is not pretty. You will easily scythe down 20, 30 cultists in one go. Very easily. So, yeah, Scions are the perfect counter to the Genestealer Cult infantry spam. So be aware of that. Second, and obviously we're going to get into this a lot more in depth. This is just the introduction video to the series. The second thing I'd like to mention is that they are obviously very deep strike heavy. They're either going to get into rapid fire range of your front line, or they're going to get into close combat with your front line. Okay, they're going to do that. One of the key things you have to understand with Genestealer Cult is that they are going to be trying to dictate the flow of the battlefield, and they do that by having incredible deep strike capability. Fortunately, as guard commanders, we have access to some of the best screening units in the game, which is the good old infantry squad, the guardsman squad. Now, the thing is, the Genestealer Cult genuinely are quite good at clearing out 10-man units. They're quite good at clearing screening units, so you're going to have to make sure you've got plenty of them. A single line of guardsmen will not be able to screen you anymore. I'd say you want a minimum of 3 lines. Or normally, I would say you want 1 line for screening, 1 line as a sort of intermediary, and 1 line as your actual firepower. Straight away, guys, I'm saying you almost want to have 2 lines of full screening, and then a line of firepower, and then a line of firepower behind that. Against the Genestealer Cult, the 3-line tactic kind of needs to be expanded into the 4-line tactic. Just 4 lines of units, because they're going to come in and clear the screen straight away, and then turn 2 they will hit you again. They will hit you with a 1-2 punch, and turn 2 will be when they come in and clear your screen, and turn 3 is when they will come in and they will absolutely annihilate you. So if you have 2 or 3 layers of screening, you'll be okay. But you're going to need at least 40 guardsmen per layer. I'd say against the cult, you don't want to be leaving home without 150 infantry. Guaranteed, because they're going to side down 50 of them in a turn. And you're going to have to try and respond. Okay? They are going to really get you. They're going to deep strike you 9 inches away, first rank fire, second rank fire you with Tempesta Prime, Brood Brother squads, and Brood Brother squads. Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. So make sure you've got your screens, and make sure you've got your anti-infantry. If you've got those 2 things in abundance in your army, not only will you be able to defend yourself against the Xenos Horde, you'll also be playing the meta. Because I think Genestealer Cult are going to bring Horde armies back in a big way. Anyway, guys, I hope you've liked this introductory video to the Genestealer Cult and anti-Genestealer Cult tactics. Please leave. I've got lots of ideas for this series, but please leave lots of comments down below on what you would like to see, because obviously this is aimed at you chaps, it's aimed at you guys, and if you've been having any particular struggles with certain units, let me know. Alright, thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.